York City's finances are once again under scrutiny as preliminary hearings get underway to approve a $114 billion budget for next year.
Yeah, the hearings began the same day a federal judge sided with the Trump administration's decision to take back that $80 million in federal funding allocated to help the city cover the costs related to the migrant crisis.
There are additional federal actions that could have an impact on New York City's finances that are not reflected in the current financial plan, including the potential impact of executive orders and the recent budget resolution blueprint. While we are closely monitoring developments, we are hampered by the lack of clear and unambiguous guidance.
So New York City receives nearly $10 billion in federal funding, which is now in jeopardy under the new administration. The chairman of the City Council's Finance Committee, Councilman Justin Brannan, joining us this morning to walk us through what's being done to protect New Yorkers and walk us through the hearing. I know it's not the most exciting to talk about budget hearings, but it is important because it affects everybody. So great to have you here.
You too. Yeah, I mean, these aren't just numbers on a page.
Yeah.
This is a budget that affects New Yorkers' lives.
You know? And before we get to all of that, I want to get to the news of the day. You knew I had to go with the news of the day, right? Which is Adrienne Adams entering the race for mayor. She is the speaker. She's technically the leader of the city council here for you, which you are part of. What are your thoughts on her entering the race?
I think it's great. I mean, she's been my partner, my ride or die partner in all things over the past 4 years. A lot of great fights and wins against this mayor and cuts that he's tried to make to our city. And, she's a Queens girl, and I support any Attleboro folks running to run the city. And I think it's exciting, and I look forward to talking to her about it.
Does she have your support? Like, do you endorse, as you are also running for a citywide office, do you endorse in the race? Because there is the Andrew Cuomo factor as well.
I mean, it's an interesting question because as controller, ultimately, you have to be a watchdog. You have to be independent no matter who the mayor is. But it would be nice to have a partner in the mayor's office as well. So I'll be talking to her about it later today.
But no endorsement.
Not yet. I got to talk to her first. I haven't talked to her.
Conversations need to be had.
But I think it's great. I think it's great.
Okay. All right. Let's switch gears. Let's talk about that budget. As we just said, a federal judge siding with the Trump administration, saying that, you can take back the $80 million. But the city budget director testified that, the city's already used more than half, right? It's like $59 million. So what happens now?
I mean, the problem we have here is that we have an administration right now in the city that is compromised and basically in cahoots with the Trump administration for various reasons, right? Well, what we need right now is a guardian at the gates, right? And instead we have an administration that's afraid to even so much as criticize this petulant president. And New Yorkers need a fighter. New Yorkers need someone who's going to defend the city right now. And we're not seeing that, right? When we woke up and $80 million was suddenly missing from our account, there was reluctance on the side of the administration to actually, what do we do about it? What do you do about it? You sue, you fight, you get the money back. This is our money. This is taxpayer money.
They did sue.
They did sue, but not after a couple of days and the controller called them out. It wasn't right away.
Yeah.
And I think because the mayor right now is compromised, which is why the only person in my controller's race that called on him to resign, he's compromised. And I think any other mayor right now would be standing at the gates to the city saying, stay the hell out of here and defending us. And we're seeing the opposite right now. And we're at a time when we can't afford these cuts to our city. There's no city in the country that can afford federal cuts.
So how do you look at that, right? Because the mayor's race is so important right now because of that. How much does the city actually rely on federal funding when it comes to things like the budget that you were talking about yesterday?
Sure. I mean, we're looking at a $115 billion budget approximately. Around 10% of that is federal grants, federal subsidy. It permeates the entire budget, from the Department of Education to the Department of Environmental Protection. It's everywhere. And right now, the city council is basically, we're on our own doing these doomsday exercises to figure out what those doomsday cuts would look like because our partners across the hall have no contingency plan. And this is that crisis of confidence that there's no plan right now. Yesterday, basically, the budget director was like, well, yeah, we don't know what to do. We're just waiting by the phone, and if something happens, we'll figure it out then. That's not the answer. You got to get ready now because, I don't know, aside from maybe Godfather 2, I've never known a sequel to be better than the movie, right? Trump has shown us who he is, and now it's unfurling in front of us, and we need fighters right now. We need people who are going to say, Trump, stay the hell out of here. We're going to protect our city, going to protect New Yorkers, protect taxpayers. We didn't see that yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, as someone that lives in the city and talking to my neighbors, they want to know, though, what are you going to do? What is the backup plan?
Absolutely. I mean, so what we discussed yesterday was that the $115 billion budget, that is how I believe we're going to build a firewall around the city for the next
Okay.
4 years. The way that we take care of each other is going to be the way we spend our money, the way we protect our pensions. But it would be helpful if we had a mayor's administration who wasn't compromised and that they're afraid to stand up to Trump. That is not what we need right now.
So if somebody does stand up to Trump and say, hypothetically, there were no dollars from the federal government coming your way, how do you look at your own budget citywide? Because I know take the 10% away. Does that mean cuts are on the table? What does it look like?
So we have record reserves right now. The council fought very hard to put almost $8 billion in reserves. Once again, the city council is predicting $3 billion more in revenue than OMB is predicting. OMB has historically gloom and doom, conservative forecasts, and then inevitably they say, oh, you know what, the council was right after all, after they make a whole bunch of unnecessary cuts. That's what's happening now. This isn't the time for that kind of gamesmanship because the threat from the federal government is very, very real. So this isn't the time for fuzzy math and budget dances. Let's just be real. Let's invest in the programs and priorities that'll make this life more affordable for New Yorkers, and let's fight together.
Did you feel like you got fuzzy answers yesterday?
Yeah, we got these aren't the droids you're looking for. I mean, this is just nonstop. But the threat from the federal government is very real. It's coming. He already took $80 million out of our account. Like, we don't have to wait. It's not about, oh, gee, will it come? It's coming. It's here. We need a contingency plan. We don't have one right now.
And you feel the mayor is further compromising the city. I mean, you likely saw the hearings yesterday that quickly went from sanctuary city policies to talking about his allegiance to Trump.
They couldn't find someone to sign an affidavit, right? Elon Musk took $80 million from the city of New York. They couldn't find someone to put their name on an affidavit because they were afraid of this fake king in Washington. Like, what are we doing, guys? Like, you have to put New York City first and foremost. You cannot be afraid of the president. You have to defend the city first and foremost. We are not seeing that right now.
I don't mean to go back to the initial question then, but you talked about the guardian at the gate. You know, when you look at the field, I know you have to talk to Adrian Adams. What are your thoughts on Andrew Cuomo? Is he the guardian? Could he be the good potential guardian at the gate?
Look, I think any of these folks right now, instead of talking about the mayor, they should be talking about what they're going to do to defend the city from Donald Trump. That's what New Yorkers want to hear. They don't want to hear about Eric Adams. They want to hear about the future. They want to hear about Donald Trump. The next 4 years is going to be breathing down our neck and trying to fight, trying to do everything he can to exact revenge on this city. Voters want to hear what are these mayors going to do to stand up to Donald Trump.